Breaking, UKWA becomes WOZA Alliance, major opposition unity against Zambia politics 2025. Tonight, a political earthquake is shaking Zambia. The movement once known as UKWA has quietly rebranded itself into the WOZA Alliance, and insiders say this is not a simple name change. It is a coordinated attempt to build a powerful national force with one mission: remove President Hakainde Hichilema from power. But who is funding this transformation? Why now? And what does this mean for 2026? Stay with me, because what we uncovered goes far deeper than slogans, rallies, or rebranding. It's a story of strategy, desperation, and a political battlefield that's about to explode. Good day, viewers. Welcome to another edition of InspirAfrica Official. I'm Nakash. Well, what a week it's been here in southern Africa. The rains are finally beginning to arrive across Zambia, bringing hope after that devastating drought. But speaking of storms, the political landscape just experienced its own tempest. Our lead story today, the UKWA Alliance, the opposition coalition you've been hearing about for months, has just undergone a dramatic transformation. UKWA is dead. Long live WOZA. Imagine this, a political alliance that once greeted each other with MWA on social media, that promised to unite the scattered opposition against President Hakainde Hichilema's government, suddenly vanishes. In its place rises something new, something bold, the We're One Zambia Alliance. WOZA. But what does this transformation really mean? Is this a genuine rebirth, a phoenix rising from the ashes of failed unity, or is this just another name change to mask the same old problems? When the very people who couldn't agree on leadership in UKWA suddenly rebrand themselves, are we witnessing strategic brilliance or desperate survival? And here's the question that should keep political analysts awake at night: if they couldn't hold UKWA together, what makes anyone believe WOZA will be different? With Bill 7 tearing through Zambian politics like wildfire, with civil society crying foul over constitutional amendments, with the 2026 elections looming on the horizon, can this newly christened alliance actually challenge the sitting president? Or are we watching the opposition devour itself yet again, as Bemba Wisdom warns, Isashishi Isilia Isine, the serpent that consumes itself? The stakes have never been higher. Democracy itself, some say, hangs in the balance. Factual foundation, background and timeline. The revelation came to light just hours ago through multiple Zambian news outlets. The transformation was announced by Alliance chairperson Sikiba Sakota, who stated that the formation is driven by a need to unite citizens and help Mother Zambia amid what he describes as rising concerns over alleged dictatorship and shrinking democratic space. Let's establish the context here. The UKWA Alliance, UKWA, was formed in early 2024 with great fanfare. It brought together several opposition political parties: the Golden Party of Zambia led by Jackson Salavwi, the National Democratic Congress under Saboya Mbawila, the New Heritage Party with Chashala Katika, UNIP, and others. The alliance was meant to present a unified front against President Hichilema's United Party for National Development government heading into the 2026 general elections. But almost from the beginning, UKWA was plagued by internal disputes. When the alliance was launched, the opposition camp even changed its greetings on social media to MWA UKA. But as quickly as it rose, UKA imploded, greed, ego, and ambition tearing it apart. By May 2025, the situation had become explosive. The internal rift within UKWA Alliance took a dramatic twist as recently expelled National Democratic Congress leader Saboya Mbawila announced the expulsion of coalition chairperson Sikiba Sakota. Yes, you heard that right, they were expelling each other. Mbawila claimed Sakota wanted to be the alliance's presidential flag-bearer, while Sakota accused Mbawila of misconduct. The alliance was consuming itself from within. Then came the rebranding. In December 2025, Sikiba Sakota emerged with a new vision and a new name: We're One Zambia Alliance, WOZA. The parties now listed under this banner include the New Heritage Party, People's Alliance for Change, United Liberal Party, United National Independence Party, and the Zambia We Want movement. The timing is crucial. This transformation comes as Zambia grapples with the controversial Constitution Amendment Bill No. 7 of 2025, commonly known as Bill 7. Bill 7 sought to expand the National Assembly from 156 to 211 elected members, introduce a mixed-member proportional representation system for reserved seats, remove two-term limits for local government leaders, and revise nomination and electoral procedures. The Constitutional Court declared the bill unconstitutional in June 2025 for failing to conduct proper public consultation, but the government has been pushing to reintroduce it. This is the battlefield on which WOZA has emerged. Direct evidence, quotes and testimony. Let's hear directly from the key figures themselves, in their own words. Sakwiba Sakota, speaking about WOZA's formation, said, "The alliance believes the current environment mirrors past moments in Zambia's history when citizens stood together against the one-party state and fought controversial constitutional reforms." He highlights ongoing public resistance to Bill 7, complaints over restrictive cyber laws, and increasing tribal and regional tensions as key reasons for the coalition's formation. The alliance, he adds, aims to present a balanced leadership team, mobilize youths and civil society, including the diaspora, and commit to zero tolerance for corruption. Strong words. But remember, this is the same Sakwiba Sakota who, just months ago, was at war with his own alliance members. When asked about that turbulent period with Saboy and Bawila, Sakota tried to move past it. "Right now, I'm concentrating on important matters of the state, as to how we'll get rid of this government," he said. So what does the opposition really want? What are they fighting for or against? Let's talk about Bill 7, because that seems to be the rallying cry. The controversy around Bill 7 has been intense. The Law Association of Zambia issued a statement noting with concern that the proposed constitutional amendment process excluded stakeholders and citizens from meaningful involvement. The bill appears to have been published in the Gazette merely for the public's general information, without any clearly established pathway for participation prior to its submission to the National Assembly. Civil society groups have been particularly vocal. Beauty Kadebe of the Oasis Forum recently urged the opposition to unite and pick one leader. But will WOZA answer that call? Here's where it gets interesting. President Hichilema himself has been meeting with various stakeholders. President Hichilema has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to a constitution that reflects the will and aspirations of the people. He noted that the constitutional review process is not designed to advance the interests of the government, but to empower citizens. The president says the reforms seek to promote fairness in the distribution of resources and widen participation in governance, especially for women, young people, and persons with disabilities. So we have two competing narratives here. The government says Bill 7 is about inclusion and better governance. The opposition, now rebranded as WOZA, says it's about dictatorship and consolidating power. One analyst observed the pattern clearly: the opposition's biggest enemy isn't the ruling party, but itself. Until ambition yields to discipline and unity, Zambians will continue watching this political circus with bemused detachment, knowing full well that not every alliance is built to last. And there's the crux of the matter. Can WOZA break this cycle? Deeper analysis. Let's step back and examine what this transformation from UKWA to WOZA really means for Zambian politics. First, the historical context matters. When the United Kwacha Alliance was launched, it arrived with pomp and optimism. But Salavwi, Chashala Katika of the NHP, and Sakwiba Sakota, in a scene reminiscent of a political soap opera, sidelined former President Edgar Lungu, leaving UKA leaderless. The death of Edgar Lungu in June 2025 further complicated the opposition landscape, removing the one figure who commanded significant authority across various factions. Second, we need to understand the broader political ecosystem. Zambia's opposition isn't just WOZA. There's also the TANS Alliance, which has its own internal struggles. There's Fred Membia's Socialist Party. There's the remnants of the Patriotic Front trying to reorganize after Lungu's death. The political theater in Zambia has once again taken on a familiar rhythm: alliances forming and breaking faster than a game of musical chairs, and armchair critics suddenly auditioning for the presidency. The question everyone's asking, is WOZA different? On paper, the timing seems strategic. By positioning themselves as defenders of democracy against Bill 7, WOZA has identified a genuine concern that resonates with many Zambians. Civil society organizations, the Law Association of Zambia, churches, and ordinary citizens have expressed deep reservations about the constitutional amendment process. Transparency International Zambia raised concerns that while Bill 7 claims to promote inclusion through a new electoral model, beneath the surface, it expands parliament by 90 seats, most of which will go to those already in power, increases presidential influence, removes by-elections, weakens local government, and undermines transparency in the delimitation process. These are legitimate concerns. But does WOZA have the credibility to champion them? Here's the challenge: the same leaders who couldn't maintain unity in UKWA are now asking Zambians to trust them with WOZA. Sakriba Sakota, who was expelled by Saboy Mbawila, who he had also expelled, is now the chairman. The parties involved have a history of internal squabbles, ego battles, and presidential ambitions that undermine collective goals. Moreover, the government isn't sitting idle. President Hichilema has issued a firm but measured appeal for calm, stressing that Zambia's democracy thrives only when grounded in the rule of law and mutual respect. He emphasized that political rivalry must never spill into intimidation, disorder, or actions that endanger ordinary citizens. The president has also been engaging in dialogue. President Hichilema held a constructive engagement with leaders of the Oasis Forum, and thanked them for accepting his invitation and engaging in dialogue, noting that constructive engagement remains the best approach to resolving national differences. This creates an interesting dynamic. While WOZA is positioning itself as the resistance movement, the government is portraying itself as the reasonable party seeking dialogue and consensus. Who will Zambian voters believe? There's also the question of what WOZA actually wants. Is it just opposition for opposition's sake? Do they have alternative policy proposals? A clear economic vision? Or is this simply about removing President Hichilema from power? The historical precedent isn't encouraging. Some observers noted that these political schemes in Zambia are often initiated by sponsors of political parties, and people are willing to get back to Egypt, as the Bible story says, when hardships persist. The electoral calendar matters too. With elections scheduled for 2026, time is running short. WOZA needs to not only maintain internal cohesion but also build a ground game, develop policy platforms, select a presidential candidate, and convince voters they're a credible alternative. That's a tall order for an alliance that's essentially a rebrand of a failed coalition. Some analysts are already skeptical. Looking at the pattern of Zambian opposition alliances, from UDA to UKWA to TANS to now WOZA, there's a recurring theme of grand launches followed by bitter implosions. The question isn't whether WOZA will face internal challenges. The question is whether they've learned from past failures and developed mechanisms to overcome them. One thing is certain: the stakes are extraordinarily high. If WOZA fails, it may be years before the opposition can credibly reorganize. If Bill 7 passes in its current form, as critics fear, it could reshape Zambia's political landscape for decades. And if President Hichilema wins re-election in 2026 against a divided opposition, his government will have a strong mandate for its second term. Thank you for watching another edition of InspirAfrica Official. This story of UKWA's transformation into WOZA is really a story about Zambian democracy itself, its resilience, its challenges, its potential, and its fragility. We're watching in real time as opposition forces try once again to unite, as civil society pushes back against controversial constitutional changes, and as the government navigates the complex terrain of reform and legitimacy. The next few months will be absolutely critical. Will WOZA succeed where UKWA failed? Can the opposition finally present a unified front? Will Bill 7 move forward or die permanently? And most importantly, what kind of democracy will Zambians have in 2026? I want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Are you hopeful about WOZA? Skeptical? Do you support Bill 7 or oppose it? What do you think Zambian opposition parties need to do to present a credible alternative? And for our viewers in Zambia, what are you hearing on the ground? What's the mood like? This is a conversation that affects not just Zambia but all of Southern Africa. Democratic norms, peaceful transitions of power, constitutional governance, these things matter beyond borders. We'll be following this story closely in the weeks and months ahead. Make sure you're subscribed to InspirAfrica Official and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our updates as this political drama unfolds. Until tomorrow, when we return with more news, more analysis, and more stories from across this magnificent continent of ours, I'm Nakash, reminding you to stay informed, stay engaged, and stay inspired. God bless Africa.